2021, I introduced HCX team based on their personalities, their attributes, whether it has to do with their smiles, their wisdom, etc. I'm going to do it different today because I only have 2 minutes, and I promise to keep it for about 20 minutes. No, only 2 minutes. So I'd like to start with a quote from Brené Brown. She said, and I love this quote, and it fits our HCX team, not the first portion. So she said, fitting in is about assessing a situation and becoming who you need to be in order to be accepted. You know, it takes a lot. It's very draining because I see it as a way of pleasing. It takes people a lot of energy to please. And bottom line, they won't be able to produce their expertise. However, our HCX team is completely the opposite. They're not striving to fit in. They're striving to do the right thing and to show their expertise. So she continues to say, belonging, on the other hand, does not require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. And I will assure you, this team, Team HCX, will demonstrate and show their expertise, their subject matter expert, who they are, the programs that they lead. I don't lead it. And I just walked into the job and I see this great team doing it from A to Z. And I'm very proud of them. So I will say this at the end. To be able to fulfill the mission, Team HCX will continue to do and demonstrate respect, service, and trust to be able to meet the mission. So, Tim Murfield, you're first up. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Chaplain Gore. All right, good to see everybody. So on the slide is the team that you saw introduced yesterday. We're not going to spend any time on this. Next slide. So here's a little bit what we're going to cover in the next few minutes. And we're going to bring up some of our initiatives that are going to be kind of on the forefront in the next few weeks and months and kind of do some highlights on those. Next slide, please. This is kind of an overall picture of some of the things we do, some of the bigger rocks. And you're probably going to notice on there that we've kind of changed our names a little bit over the last couple of years, and especially the last few months. And so some of the things that we've been doing in the past are continuing on under new leadership and new names. I want to bring forward Master Sergeant Johnson. And as she's coming forward, let me just say that this is the best RST partner for Chaplain Habash and myself that we could ever ask for. So, ma'am, take it away.
Thank you, thank you. I'm just going to be really brief. I just want to talk about a little bit about what I do as a manager of plans and programs. I have my hands in almost everything. I sit in on most of the project meetings just to make sure the HCX and HD stays in their lane and doesn't go off to answer questions that we shouldn't be answering or make sure we stay in our lane. I also sit on some of the project meetings to take back some questions or concerns to leadership or back and forth to make sure they're all informed. Chaplain Merrifield and myself, we also serve as a bridge between the team and Chaplain Habash, just to make sure that any needs or concerns that they may have, so we can bring that up. And of course, we do all the things up here that's strategic, but we also do some of the same things that you all do. We take calls from the field, from MAGCOM, answer questions, give guidance, give POCs. And we also, just like some of you, also have additional duties, from GPC to equipment inventory. So that's all I have, and up next is Chaplain Pugh and Sergeant Maruzo.
Hello everyone, Sergeant Maruzo here. Thank you. I'm just gonna talk about our new initiative, and we kind of took it in place upon us. Everybody should know this, it's the MyAFCARs under the MyFSS. Special shout out to Chaplain Bindel, Chaplain Carollo, and the 78 developers that Perry the Armin, and many others that did the development of AFCARS on my AFCARS and AFCARS Next. So other than that, it should have already been live a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, and we're excited for the launch, and we're still perfecting the system. And if you have any questions, get with IMSC, Sergeant Lett and Chaplain Yelton. They will be able to help you out. Thank you.
And a new initiative we have one of the things we're always trying to do is see, hey, how can we put our Chaplain Corps out there? Our Chaplain Corps teams are doing some amazing things around the world. And one of the biggest things, how can we celebrate what our teams are doing? How can we get them more visibility with Big Air Force? So one of the things that we push for is the MCA, the Military Chaplains Association. They have an award, an annual award. Some of you are tracking. You submitted your folks. Just recently, I believe it was last month, that Chaplain Kitchens and Chief Chambers went to celebrate the award winners. Well, we were able to petition with them. The Executive Council approved to get an addition to the award. So our partners and members who are supporting the Space Force will now be able to qualify for a Space Force RST award. So just like the Navy chaplains who support Marines, we are Air Force chaplains supporting the Space Force, and now you can apply separately for that award as a chaplain and as an RA. So again, it gave us another opportunity for more visibility, for more another award level to honor and appreciate what our members are doing. So that kicks off. That will be applicable next year. So for our Space Force partners, please make sure that you are diligent and then you put in for that award. Because the biggest thing, you can't win if you don't put in. Appreciate you guys. Next up is Sergeant Reed.
Hello, everyone. So I want to talk about the Department of the Air Force's anniversary worship service. The date is going to be September 10th, and the service will start at 1600. If you're not in the area, because it will be at the National Cathedral here in Washington, D.C. If you're not in the area, you can tune in on YouTube, and we will provide that link as we get closer to our date. But one thing I want to talk about is our purpose for this worship service. Our theme will align with two very historic occasions, right? The 75th anniversary of the Women's Armed Services Integration Act, right? That was in June of this year. We celebrated 75 years of women being able to serve in the armed forces. And then also this year, we celebrated 50 years of women serving in the Air Force chaplaincy. Yes. Yeah. And so I'm really looking forward to our guest speaker, and that's going to be Chaplain Major General Lorraine Potter, retired. So I hope that you will tune in on September 10th. Thank you very much.
Hey, Chaplain, senior leaders. I'm Chaplain Hank. I'm just going to walk you through some updates on our DAFIs, next slide, and where they're at currently. The one that's kind of the closest to the finish line is DAFI 52101. It's at formal coordination with our two letters. It essentially means on the 24th, the major edits will come back to us, and then there'll be a legal review. And you should have this product probably by sometime in October. DAFI 52106 right now is with informal coordination with recruiting, with Reserve Command, and with USAFA. It deals with a program that's more specific to just not the whole of the Chaplain Corps. So that's where that's at. 104 is going to go out to MAGCOM soon. This is a suggestion I have for MAGCOMs. This is a great way to deliberately develop, I think, wing chaplains and their staffs, if you can get them together somehow on a VTC to talk about where we're at with 104. Because I don't know about you, but I'm the policy SME now. Yeah, I think we should all be policy SMEs. I think we, I don't know anyone that says I love reading the Daffys, but they allow us to do our job as effectively, as efficiently, as successfully as we can. So it'd be an opportunity for our MatchCom leadership to go out to our wings and get them smart on these Daffys. We've got 105 and 107 upcoming. So the way we're going to deal with 105 is we need to get it done by the end of this year, because of it deals with APF, and if we don't do that, we'll be in trouble. So that's going to come before 107, and I'm sorry, I've got that around. 107 first, and then 105. The major edits in 101 include the inclusion of the HOPE initiative. We've also expanded explanations on what privileged communication looks like as well. So that's kind of a policy update. Let me give you a quick update on the new religious accommodation website that you guys all probably had just introduced to you without much of an introduction. This was a product that was in conjunction with the Chaplain Corps. It was something that was produced by a action team during COVID by the Director of Staff's office. We are now taking it. People have asked, is this something we should use in lieu of the way that we're doing things now? And the answer is no. Continue to go through leadership the way that that 201 tells you to do. But if you want to use the product, make sure that you do it in conjunction with the regular ways that we are filing religious accommodations. So don't replace, you can do it in conjunction with. If you have any questions about that, if you're confused about how to use the website, there's more to come. It's pending, more coordination. They want to get this in line and in step, the RAR 201, with the way that we're actually filing these religious accommodations. So that's all I've got. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I have no time, so I'm leaving.
Awesome. All right. Well, good morning. It's good to meet you all. I am Chaplain Dan Wharf. I am the new Spiritual Fitness Manager, still figuring what that is. But I'm excited to be here to talk a little bit about how we are going to operationalize spiritual fitness across DAF. As we kind of think about the near-peer competition that we're facing as we pivot to China, right? We've got to get ready to strengthen the warfighter's spirit and their core, right? And so we do that. You do that. What you're going to see released in these playbooks that you should have in the app today are just resources for you to help you to build a sense of awareness, some vocabulary, and have a framework to start thinking about spiritual fitness and how we can start leaning into and advising and supporting our warfighters and their families in those domains. And so we have a couple of different initiatives that we're doing right now to kind of think about this, but I wanted to present this to you because you're going to see this come up later in our leadership JSOC panel discussion. And this is also in our new released LOE1 playbook. And so Chaplain Kitchens and Chief Chambers have been thinking about and strategizing on, hey, how can we provide our senior RSTs with a framework that they begin to operationalize and help airmen understand, how do they understand who they are, right? Understand their purpose, their meaning, their value, their beliefs. But not only that, plot a path, figure out, hey, how can I get on the right path to health and wellness and holistic fitness, and then progress down that path. Develop like practices, right? For me, spiritual fitness is not about a product, it's about daily practices. And so you think about that, our airmen need this language in their life, and finally engage with people who support their purpose. Obviously, you are on the front lines of that relationship, right? It's all about trust. When you think about, as we go out into our units, it's the RST and building a solid foundation of trust with our commanders, with our senior leaders, with our enlisted leaders, with every echelon of the chain of command. And they see us as relevant to the war fight. As we start talking about and they start thinking about ACE environments, how can we as a team start thinking creatively and collaboratively on how we can do these types of initiatives across the force. So we invite you to partner with us. This is not, like Chaplain Kitchen said yesterday, coming as a program from on high. This is a framework we're using to give you to support you. And so you use this how you see best in your operational environment with the things that you are facing with your commander intent, the AMP, and those types of things. But we'll get to this later in the day as well. But this is a really big moment for us in the Chaplain Corps, and Chaplain Kitchens has been leading the way on this. You heard a little bit of the spiritual fitness briefing yesterday and how we pivot to holistic spiritual fitness and think about how do we work with our integrated resiliency partners and those types of things. So more to come on that as well. So if you haven't seen those playbooks, the CC Orientation Toolkit, get it, right? The purpose of that is to give you a tool to hand your new commander, just gives them the ABCs of what we do and what we bring to the fight. And so that's the goal of that CC Orientation Toolkit, is to quickly onboard them, and you maybe, and your young chaplains, on just, hey, how do I do my ministry? How do I support you? What this relationship looks like going forward to set you up for success on day one. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about some initiatives that we have going. Strong bonds, okay? How many of you guys have heard of strong bonds? All right, a few of you. We just released a new Strong Bonds playbook. It just gives you a quick read of what's the program about, its purpose. But I want to foot stomp. Strong Bonds is a spiritual fitness initiative. Okay? When you think about Strong Bonds, that's its purpose. That's the intent of what we're trying to do, to train and equip you as RSTs to have spiritual fitness tools and resources and training so that you can get out there and lead in that war for optimizing warfighter readiness. And so please check out the new guide. And then secondly, take out your phones, all right? If you have a phone and you want to participate, take a snapshot of that QR code right there. And you can participate in giving us anonymous feedback. We have a few questions on there. And we would love to know, because here's the thing. We're not about just, hitting the same repeat button on everything every year. Strong Bonds needs to be flexible. It needs to be malleable, meaning we want to make sure that the tools, the trainings, the courses actually support you, and they're relevant to the warfighter and their family, right? And so the only way we can know that really is through either your after-action report or providing some anonymous feedback, because I always know you might not always be upfront and honest about how you really feel on an AAR when your name's on the dotted line. And so we're just trying to create that transparent feedback loop, so please take a picture and give us your feedback with Strong Bonds. Next is Project Refuel. How many of you have heard of Project Refuel at all? All right, boss has seen it. Chaplain Kitchens is literally our top #1 champion in the Air Force Chaplain Corps. And sir, I want to say thank you for this. But Project Refuel started 2 years ago at Maxwell Air Force Base. Chaplain Newton actually doesn't remember this, but he actually made the phone call with the company that had just gotten a Phase 1 AFWorks contract to develop a spiritual fitness app. And he sent that family, that business, over to Chaplain Scott, who was our wing chaplain at the time, and said, hey, you guys need to hook up and talk. And so we did. And so we realized, man, there's something actually here that has something of value to our airmen and our RSTs. And so we thought about, hey, let's make a spiritual fitness app. And then the next thing we know, Chaplain Boyd, is she in the room? Our command chaplain at the time. Yes, ma'am, she's over there. She actually just latched onto this idea and said, man, this is the best thing ever. This is the future as we look at it, leveraging technology. How can we use that to support our airmen and our warfighters? And so she made some introductions with Chaplain Scheich at the time, and then and this thing just blew up. And so we put in for a Phase 2 AFWorks pitch, and we actually were awarded $800,000 in funding to actually build the back end of this app. Fast forward, Chaplain Kitchens supported us. He latched on with Chaplain Chief Chambers, and the next thing we know is we're a Vice Chief program. General Alvin, our next CSAF, he picked this up and invested another $800,000 in developing this capability for our Air Force. And so we're excited about this. And so there is a spiritual component within the app. So I want to tie it directly to us in our career field. So we think about how do we track and train and assess spiritual fitness? Well, SOCOM has done a lot of great work in that. They've used their SOCOM spiritual fitness assessment. How many of you heard of that? Okay. Well, that assessment is now live on our app. All right. And so what's cool about that is if you are just a user of the app, you can now go onto our app and take that assessment and get live feedback on, hey, how are you doing? It's not a perfect scale. There isn't a perfect scale. But it's peer-reviewed, it's evidence-based, and it's solid. And so it's a beginning point for us. But as a user, we're thinking about, hey, how can we support our airmen and create awareness around the topic of spirituality? Hey, do I even have a spirit? Right? What is a spirit? Right? People ask these questions today. And so we're trying to just softly, in a non-confrontational way, help them create awareness around the fact that they are a spiritual being and that there's a component inside them that they need to take focus of and care for as they think about their holistic fitness. And so a lot of you, I like videos. How many of you guys like videos? I love videos. So let's watch a video and maybe you'll get a glimpse of actually what this program is about. And this video, by the way, was created by one of our very own Airman Champions. So it's an initiative by Airmen for Airmen. Let's check this out. If you haven't joined our beta, please join our beta because it is a beta. You can snap our QR code right there and download that app and get on board today because, again, it's a beta, all right? So understand it's not a perfect, polished product. I get this a lot. But betas are really this idea of a shared experience of how we can collaborate with users like you to learn and grow and develop a capability that's relevant to you, okay? So as you download that beta and get access, you can actually give us feedback directly through the app and say, hey, I don't like that feature. I think that stinks. I want this. I want that. Consider this. We have a dialogue of an entire team that's on the back end kind of digesting that for us. And so we have a brand new thing that's going, and I'll wrap this up, is the AU president, General Tullis, has actually agreed to enter a 2-year partnership with Project Refuel. And so we are launching Project Refuel in ACSC in September. Isn't that cool? And I get excited about that because that's God's favor. That's what God's going to do for us as he partners with us and our team. And then we're going to roll this out, Lord willing, in AY 25 for the entire AY faculty and staff. And so we're excited to have her support and her investment in this project as we try to optimize our student community and their health as well.